to the post-game recap. This is Rico and Mac with the truth about Chicago sports. And this has been the first game of the official 2024 season, Rico. We are done, sir. We have got it in the books. It was a rain delay, which turned it to a cancel. But the Bears win 21-17. Go Bears. Go Bears in the start of a new season. Let's go, my brother.
Yeah, I mean, so technically we walk away with a win, right? 21 to 17 and a rain delay. And I mean, the weather was just looking terrible out there. I think it's thundering and lightning at this point in time. So, we were talking about it a little bit, just kind of in the green room about the fact that it's just not that important for this game to continue on. But it's unfortunate, I think, for some of the rookies out there that are trying to
Mhm.
make the team an impact. But the great thing about this is that the Chicago Bears and the Texans, I believe, have an extra preseason game. They
Yes.
also got into camp earlier as well. So there's still plenty of opportunity, I think, for, those rookies or players that are trying to make the team to make an impact.
And I think you know what, honestly, this was a game that they made a lot of impact. This is the most that these young players will see out of all the preseason, honestly. And yeah, they got robbed of a fourth quarter. But let's be honest, in a game like this, once you get down to the fourth quarter, you're probably talking about guys that aren't going to be making the team. I think that really we saw most of the backups play.
Mhm.
And to be honest, I was nervous at first. I mean, the backup defense was looking shaky. David Mills was out there making things happen. He was 10 for 13, threw 102 yards, had a touchdown. He was really moving against the defense. And I was like, wow, I didn't see a lot of pressure. And, all of a sudden the Bears are down 7-0. It's like, whoa. And then the next thing you know, and now they're up, 10. I think it was what 10 3 maybe. And
Mhm.
it's like, okay, what's going on here?
Mhm.
And then man, next thing you know, Rippin comes in and just gets hot. Brett Rippin, wow. And I'm telling you, that was just something that was completely unexpected. It was like, what's going on here? But this guy just comes right on in and he says, you know what, it's my time. And Brett Rippin, 11 for 15, 166 yards, 3 touchdowns. And he just found this connection with Colin Johnson. And boy, they just got the smoking. And then he also hit Tommy Sweeney for a
Mhm.
touchdown as well with a dime straight on a post end route that was just absolutely beautiful.
Mhm.
And the next thing you know, all of a sudden I'm seeing on social media, do we have a quarterback controversy? The number
Oh,
two quarterback. I'll tell you, Chicago just can't get away from quarterback controversy. They absolutely eat it up, Rico. I don't know why, but let me tell you something. In this case, they have a valid point. I
yeah.
mean, yeah, a bit Bajent did not play much at all, and he didn't look bad. He was 2 for 3. I mean, I mean, it was little work, but I mean, considering playing against backups, granted, Brett Rippon looked solid. He looked real solid. Now, this could be a tongue-in-cheek thing, right? Because it's a Hall of Fame game. Our guys really giving it their all. The guys he played against, majority of them are not going to make the 53-man roster. So let's not get crazy. But it
Yeah.
is nice to see. It is nice to see competent quarterback play from the Chicago Bears in all levels, and that's being first string, second string to third string. I don't think we've seen that probably in decades, maybe ever. And now we actually have a situation where, hey, yeah, if there is an injury at quarterback, you could have a stopgap until that guy could get healthy, hope barring that it's a major season-ending injury. And that gives me a lot of confidence about this roster, the way it's been constructed, and our future moving forward. And somebody told me, well, I heard actually, and I talked to somebody once, and they said you should always be developing quarterbacks. You should
Mhm.
always be no matter you got a franchise quarterback on your team or not, your team should always be developing quarterback because you never know. You never know. The NFL is unpredictable. You look at the Kurt Warner situation that happened with the Rams. You look at the Tom Brady situation that happened with the Patriots. You never know when that guy that's on the bench is going to have to become that guy that's your starter. So you should always be developing and making sure that you're bringing in guys that can be competent NFL quarterbacks. And I think that's what we got with the Bears right now.
Yeah, I mean, just backing up just a couple points, starting with Brett Ripken, I think that it's good to see him confident in the preseason. I'm sure the Denver Broncos wish they would have saw that a season or two ago when he was given the chance to
Hmm.
start there, right? But it's good to know that yes, he is capable to come in and perhaps be serviceable for you, and perhaps maybe get you a win. And I think the same thing is can be said about our backup there. One more time from gosh, he started last year. You just said his name.
Oh, Bajan, the secret
Bajan.
Bajan.
Yeah,
Yes, yes,
I
Tyson
had his
Bajan
name
brother. Yes.
Bajan. So I didn't want to say his name right, but yeah, Bajan
No,
as
you got it.
well. Like I was just going to say during the telecast, the one thing about it is that Troy Aikman, Joe Buck, who were on the call for ESPN, said that look, the Bears felt very comfortable in not going out and bringing a veteran backup in, and I think you got a chance to see why. He had complete command
Mhm.
over the offense. He looked comfortable, and you feel good that if Caleb Williams struggles or he goes down,
Mhm.
I think you could toss this young man the keys to the offense, and the Bears are just going to be just fine. All right. So I think that that's a great thing. And you talked about the fact that, yes, you do need to have quarterbacks in the fold. I know this is kind of a little off topic, and we'll probably talk about it maybe a little bit Sunday, but, there's news in the Chargers camp that Justin Herbert's got plantar fasciitis in his foot.
Yes,
So, I
yes.
mean, those are things like I don't even know who their backup quarterback is, but that just
Mhm.
lets you know that you need to have a quarterback ready to go because it's an extension of your head coach. And the great thing about it is, he was in the system last year, right? Referring to the
Yes,
Bears quarterback here. So that's
yes.
a plus, I think, for the Bears here. So look, all eyes are on the Bears. They're going to be on Hard Knocks. Like this is major for the Bears this year. So a good start for them.
Yeah, I agree. And here's the thing. It was funny, and this is a little truth about the Chicago sports, and that's why this is the name of this show. A little hint, hint, wink, wink. But I called this when this signing happened in the off season
Yeah.
When Brett Rippon was signed to the Chicago Bears. I said this is the end of Justin Fields.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were confused, and this is before the show actually came to WRMN 1410 AM, Elgin, Illinois. Uh, this is the early days. And I said, when they signed him, I said, Justin is gone. And it was just a sneaky little signing that went under the table that nobody was paying attention to. But once I saw that signing happen, I knew that Justin was going to be traded. And it wasn't, and if you noticed, it wasn't until that signing happened that Justin was traded. So that tells me that the Bears were making sure that they had the insurance policy to not only make sure that Caleb was backed up with a competent backup quarterback in Bajan, but also the just in case that Bajan became the starter, that there was going to be a competent third quarterback on that team. And they
Mhm.
were not going to let Justin go in that situation until they had that. Once they had that, then it was time to trade Justin. And it was something, obviously people weren't paying attention to, but now I think people need to start paying attention to that maybe Brett Rippon just might actually be a decent fill-in quarterback because I'll tell you what, the kid was throwing dimes out there. And like I say, I'll put it this way, everybody's a football player, right?
Mhm.
You made it to an NFL roster. You got asked to try for an NFL roster. That means you're a much better athlete than us.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to discredit what he's done,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I do acknowledge that yes, this isn't the top level talent, but still very impressive with the work he put in, and it explains why the Bears made the move they made, and it explains now why Justin is where he's at. And I kudos to the Bears for insulating themselves. So yeah, they didn't need to bring in a veteran like you said, but they seem like they've insulated themselves with a young quarterback room to make sure that if Caleb does get hurt, because this isn't about if he struggles. If he struggles, big deal. Caleb's the starter. He's the future of
Mhm.
this team. This is
Yeah.
about if there's injury, that we
Mhm.
have competent quarterback play to step in and hold the line until he's able to come back. And I think the Bears have done that. And I'll tell you, very impressive. Going to the fourth. Who knows what would have happened? But I have confidence the Bears were going to win this game. And
Yeah,
I'm impressed, and I was impressed with the backup play. Even Roshan Johnson, shout out to him too, with making some plays.
well, and in talking about, first just going back to the quarterback play, I got to give definitely his flowers out to Colin Johnson, right? I just kind of
Yo,
looked at
man,
his stats.
he's
I
pushing.
think he's
That
first.
might be a situation there, right?
Oh,
Pettis
I
might
love
be
it.
in trouble.
I
Pettis
love
might be in trouble of a roster spot.
Well, I love it because here's a young man that's been in the league for 3 years. He hasn't
Mhm,
had a whole bunch of success. He's bounced around from Jacksonville to New York and now Chicago. I don't know how the Giants let him get out of the
mhm.
building, but at 6'6", 222,
Big,
I could see a
strong,
spot for him that if
big
he
hands.
continues to play well, I could
Yeah,
use him as a red zone threat for this
the
particular team.
sixth wide receiver on the team. Why
Mhm.
not?
Yes,
Why
yes,
not? You
and I
giving
think.
Caleb just another target.
And it's perfect because look, we know who the main alphas are at wide
Mhm,
receiver, right? But there's always that one player that
mm.
emerges, or two players that emerge in preseason.
Always that
And
one.
he might be that guy. I know it's the first game of the season, but when you're talking about wanting to put a lot of points on the board, which is something that the Bears have struggled with over the last couple seasons,
Mhm.
you're looking for as many possibilities as you can to really get a player that can help you out.
Playmakers,
Yeah, you want
playmakers,
some playmakers out
playmakers.
there. Sure.
And like I like Dante Pettis for his blocking ability, but let's be
Yeah.
honest, he's not a real playmaker.
Mhm.
So hey, if they can have another playmaker on the team, and now special teams is important. And so this it also is about how you play on special teams. But I just think when you got a big kid like that with soft hands that is making plays like that,
Yeah.
that's somebody you got to keep an eye on, and talk about coming out of the woodworks.
Yeah.
Wow,
And
wow tonight.
and you talked about it too. I love when you talked about Roshan Johnson,
Mhm.
another
Shout,
guy.
shout out, man. He's the
Yeah,
number two. He's the number two running back. Let me tell you, he looked good. He
yeah,
looked good. He looked good last year. He was marred with a little bit of injury, running
yeah,
with his head down a little bit too much, concussions issues. But I think now he's got that worked out. And I'll tell you, he was averaging 4 yards a carry. He was on six carries, 24 yards. Very solid. That's what you want to see.
mhm,
But I'll tell you too, Khalil Herbert. Wow. You know what I mean? I mean, Khalil Herbert with a big ripper too. He ripped off a 19-yarder, and that's the one thing about Khalil Herbert that is very unique about him is that he has that ability to get big chunk plays, and that's why I know exactly why. Somebody asked me about Foreman and why he was let go by the Bears, but it's like as once you added Swift, they had their three running backs. And I
yeah,
know that maybe Herbert doesn't like the fact from going number one and number three, but I'll tell you what, if he's a team guy, which I hope he is, if he's a locker room guy, you need guys like that. And that's what you want. You want a guy that you could put in there and can make big chunk plays for you and key moments of the game. And Herbert, I think now can actually stay more healthy because that's really been his real issue more than anything. It's not that he can't make plays, it's that he's constantly on the bench. So I think with I think with Roshan and Swift now able to kind of put some of that load off, I think we'll really see Herbert in a much more key role, and that'll probably set him up for free agency. Going forward, will he last with the Bears? Maybe not, but for this season, I think he's going to play a very key role.
Well, that's part of the training camp battles right now, and that's one of the things that probably we'll get deeper into, I'm sure. But it's the
Mhm.
running back position outside of Swift. Like they're trying to figure out who's going to be the solid number two, and I think that both players really did a great job as far as putting their best foot forward tonight. It's unfortunate that they didn't get a chance to really finish out, but we'll see as preseason goes along who really steps up and takes that role. And then shout out to Deontay Foreman because he was actually carted off.
Yes.
He
Oh my
carted off, but
goodness.
they say he's okay,
I heard.
and I think he's going
Yes.
to be
Yes.
back to practice. But yeah,
Blessings.
shout out
Blessings to
to him.
him, man. Shout out to him, man. Yes, good player, good guy, and we hope for a speedy recovery. And yes, indeed. Yeah, we're sitting here right now doing the post game recap, the Hall of Fame game, Bears against Texans. Bears won 21-17, WRMN, the truth about Chicago sports 1410 with Rico and Mac. And I'll tell you, yeah, I mean, for being a backup game, this is so funny because I've been a part of this, Rico, for a long time, just watching this team. And when it comes to covering them now, being in the media, still a young buck in the game and I'm coming up. But I remember many years and these preseason games meant so little because it didn't matter. You knew deep down, you knew the quarterback play was iffy, the line was leaky, the defense wasn't solid, and you knew it was going to be a rough season. And so watching the backups to the backups was like, why? The starters aren't even that good. But this shows right now the excitement about the team in this town. The fact that we're watching the backups because we want to know, hey, if something happens to one of our starters, who's going to be that guy that they can plug in and can he make a play? Because the truth of it is, and you're hearing it from the national media. Finally, how long has it been since they have said the Bears have a loaded roster? I heard that today. It brought the biggest smile to my face, Rico, to hear the Bears have a loaded roster. Huh? What is that about? Since the when is the last time we heard that?
You know what was even more interesting? Just listening to a little bit of the post game chatter on ESPN, and they were talking about that the Bears haven't had a 4,000 yard passer,
Ever.
and
Ever,
that's
Rico.
that's
Isn't
intriguing.
that
And I'm
isn't that
just thinking
crazy?
about Jay Cutler and how he used to
Isn't
sling
that
it around
crazy?
the yard, and
I
they
mean, he had some seasons. He
yeah,
had some seasons.
right,
But it was never that big thing, and then you got to remember his thing too was that Jay got injured a lot.
he did. Yeah, he missed a
That
lot of games.
a
Yeah, yeah,
lot of games, a lot of games. If Jay would have
yeah,
played, if Jay would have played a full season,
yeah.
who knows? Who knows? But he never. It was very rare that he played a full season, and then you also got to factor in the interceptions,
Oh,
and so that also took away from his chance to really have big yardage as well. So I mean, ultimately it was just uh, even though he went down as the most accomplished Bear quarterback,
yeah,
and he had good seasons, it never lived up to what it should have been, in my opinion. And I know that some people may think something different about that, and I'm not gonna make this a Jay Cutler thing, but I just to touch on it, I ultimately am always going to be mixed feelings about it because I don't feel like it was a failure.
yeah,
The problem was it just didn't live up to what many thought that it could and should have been with the talent that he had. And by the time it all finally came somewhat together, the wheels fell completely apart.
yeah,
And I will always blame the organization for not allowing him to be with Lovey Smith a lot longer. They basically gave him Lovey for a season and then fired Lovey after that. Maybe I think 2 seasons. And in the first season, they went to the conference championship, which Jay got hurt. And then the next year, Lovey was fired after having a winning season, which I think Jay Cutler was hurt in that following season as well. So, that's my quick recap on that whole Tobago. But yeah, no 4,000-yard passer ever in the whole history of the franchise. And so, do I think Caleb can do that? I do. Um, Last Sunday, as I was away at the camp and you couldn't join, unfortunately, this was the one thing that I was kind of talking about. And, obviously, I did the Mac attack 2 weeks before about, the fealty at quarterback and begging for us to get this right finally. And is it solidified or fermented with the 4,000-yard season from a quarterback? No. But I'll tell you what, is Caleb Williams the one guy that I think has a chance to do it? Yes. And so my hope is that I want it at some point, right? But if it didn't happen, Rico, and let me ask you this. If Caleb throws 3,500 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions, and the Bears win the Super Bowl, are you mad?
No, because I mean, the bottom line is you want to win football games,
You want to
and
win football
that's
games. Thank you.
that's the thing about it. Like, would we care about Mahomes making these crazy sidearm, reverse field throws and stuff like that if he's not winning games? Sure, it's going to make a lot of ESPN top 10 highlights and CBS highlights, whatever.
Yes.
But the bottom line is you want to win football games and you want to win at the highest level. Mahomes will be forever remembered because he's won Super Bowls. Okay. And so, regardless of what Caleb does out there on Sunday, if he wins, and brings that to a Bears franchise that, the fan base desperately wants to see a winning team
Mm-hmm.
again, it's almost like it just magnifies it more, okay, for this franchise in particular, because look, the Chicago Bears have struggled, right? And they're looking a player to come in like Caleb Williams and
Mm-hmm.
ride this ship. And so, look, I to be honest with you, the stats are not, I don't care about the stats. What I'm looking for most out of Caleb Williams is, can he stay poised? Is he a cool customer out there like he was at USC? If he's able to do that in the pros, the Bears are going to be just fine. Yeah, they're going to be
Yes.
just fine with the talent that they have.
Yes.
Just
Yes. And that's where I'm at with it, is that I just want wins. I want wins, and I'm gonna take that more than anything. Uh, you know, here's the thing. Here's the funny part about it. Jim McMahon in the Bears 85 season, when
mm-hmm,
they won, he
mm-hmm,
threw 2,000 yards,
mm-hmm.
2,392 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. Actually, like that's a part that's not even ever talked about. He
No.
only he threw 15 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. He threw four more touchdowns than interceptions in that season. But
Mm-hmm.
because the Bears had a great running game and they had a vaunted defense, the only highlights you see in that season is him throwing touchdowns to Willie Galt. That's what you see for the highlights of it. You don't see the 11 interceptions
No,
because it didn't matter,
no.
because it was about the wins. So yes, it would be lovely if Caleb threw 4,000 yards. And I'm rooting that we can finally get that. But I'll take another Super Bowl over that 4,000-yard stat any day. Any day. I will take another Super Bowl. And that's what I want. I just want him to lead us to that next land, lead us to that promised land.
Yeah, and I think that that's what it is. I think that a lot of people know that the pressure is going to be on Caleb because, look, the offense is now in the NFL. They're geared for scoring points. All right. And so you're going to put the ball in the quarterback's hand and
Mhm.
you're going to go down the field. So you're just trusting that he has enough at the wide receiver core to certainly get deep into this conference. All right. So, can the Bears make that type of turnaround like the Lions did? Okay. And
Mhm.
that's like, how quickly does that come? Okay.
How
Because
quickly does that come?
how quickly does that happen for the Bears? All right. Because we're talking about just historic. It's not been very good. Like you talked about some ups and you definitely talked about more downs there, but can you get some consistency here with this group that moves you towards winning long term? And I think that that's what the Bears really, I think a lot of people that are looking at this, it just looks like, they're playing chess and not checkers for the first time. I mean,
For
that's
the
what I see.
first time, I agree. I agree. This has once again been the Truth About Chicago Sports with Rico and Mac here at WRMN 1410 AM. We're gonna do a wrap up and recap every post every game we're going to do a post game recap of the Bears game. We're going to go over stats. We're going to talk about what we saw, what our hopes are for the next games and for the next future. This right here has been a great episode. As we get ready to wrap this up, Rico, you are the man for setting this up. I gotta give all shots out and credit to you, my friend. You made this happen for the night, and this is something that I think we're gonna keep doing for the fans moving forward. Man, this is beautiful.
Yeah, no, no. Thanks for having me again, and yeah, thanks a lot, man, for hopping on. I'm glad that I could, help contribute, and so I'm looking forward to more games and discussing it. Hopefully, we're not going to get some more rainouts. We get
Yeah, yeah,
actual four quarters to talk about,
yes, yes, indeed.
certainly a lot of optimism to start off, and just for the fans out there, I think Hard Knocks is starting off here in
Oh
August.
yes, yes, it's starting on next Tuesday.
Yeah,
Next Tuesday, Hard Knocks. So please, if you don't have HBO Max, get it from a friend.
yeah.
Definitely, because I
There you
got
go.
it, and I'm gonna be watching, man, right there, front row. Definitely get ready to join us on Sunday.
Yep.
Rico and Mac, we're gonna be doing our show once again. We're gonna be breaking everything down as we get ready to start for our what we I guess we call the first official preseason game. We'll be getting ready to see Caleb Williams start in real live action. Ooh wee! I'm excited, baby.
Yeah, man, looking forward to it. Yeah, looking forward to talking about the Bears. Looking forward always to talking about the Bulls. Shameless plug, catch me on Bulls Digest, YouTube out there.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
catch me on Spotify too with Real Talk Sports with Rico. And obviously, I'm here on Sundays with Mac. And we're going to be doing these pre games as well. So hopefully, we can extend maybe onto basketball stuff and other stuff too as well. So be looking for us out there, guys.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. We're doing it, man. We're doing it. So this is once again been another recap of the Hall of Fame game. Thank you guys for joining us in the Truth About Chicago Sports with Rico and Mac. Peace out to everyone. Have a great week and join us on Sunday.